start with looking at threads, because without threads you can't sew. So it's quite an important part of your sewing process. There are lots of threads on the market. It's always important to get a good quality thread, which will give you a good quality stitch. The most common thread that you'll use is a sew-all thread, and sew-all thread is a stretchy thread, so it gives with the fabric and then relaxes back. So there's no snapping of the thread. So if you're making something with stretch fabrics, knitted fabrics, the thread will move with the garment. The next group of threads is cotton threads, often used by quilters. So if you're sewing 100% cotton fabrics, then you would probably use this sort of thread. There's no give in it, so if you pull it, it will just snap. So it's not a thread recommended for using on stretch fabrics or on garments, because it won't give with your fabric and move with your garment. Your stitches will just snap. There are also specialist threads, so embroidery threads, which are great if you're going to use embroidery stitches on your machine or doing fonts on your machine. It's a lot finer thread. It's usually a rayon or a polyester thread, but again, it's a weak thread, so there's no give in it. It will just snap. So it's not a thread that's suitable for making a garment or for constructing a project, as there's no give in it. It will just snap. So it's a specialty thread, machine embroidery threads, usually a 40 weight thread for your decorative stitching and your fonts. When you're using this sort of thread, embroidery thread, you will use a bobbin thread underneath. Again, it comes as usually white or black, but again, it's a weaker thread, so there's no give in it. So it just goes underneath. It's a 70 weight thread. It's a lot finer than your normal threads. It goes on the bottom with your embroidery thread. The other option is to buy a pre-wound bobbin, which is already wound with the embroidery, the bobbin fill thread on it, and it goes underneath on the bottom of your machine. And then there are other threads that are specialist threads, like variegated threads. This one is a cotton 30, so it's a lot thicker than your normal threads, gives you a nice textured stitch. You can also use cones of thread on your machine, so not just a reel. So if you want to use bigger cones, if you're doing something all in one colour, or you've got some bigger threads, they won't obviously go onto your machine in the normal way. So you can put them onto your machine by using a mega spool stand. The mega spool stand slides onto the machine on the top there. Your cone then goes on, and then it just threads through in the normal way. So it goes through the top and then threads through in your normal way. So that's a mega spool stand for doing bigger cones. It's also useful if you're doing things like metallic threads as well, that need a little bit more help going through the machine. So sometimes you need to stand them upright, so a mega spool stand will help you with that. So just to recap, good quality thread and a thread to go with the project and the fabric that you're working with.